and Shannon Sharp. Guys, how are we doing?
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing, Skip?
Is your man LeBron ever in trouble now on Christmas Day with America watching? He has to deal with the best player on the planet, with Captain America, with Mr. Gold Medal, with Kevin Bleepin' Durant.
Guess what he go over for Christmas?
What?
Yeah, you already know.
Oh, a turnover?
No. A butt cut. That's what KD go over for Christmas.
Oh, so you're predicting a butt cutting.
Yeah.
So Shannon Sharp.
5 cases right now. If you
5
feel
cases?
Do
I get the point and a half?
You get nothing.
Oh, I get nothing? Okay, we'll
5
talk about it in a minute.
Already riled up about LeBron. All right, I'm sure we will get to him, I promise you that. But we're not done talking about Tebow, because yesterday, the Tim Tebow experiment in Jacksonville, it came to an end. The Jaguars released the tight end hopeful after just one preseason game, and head coach Urban Meyer was very upfront with the media about how he felt about Tebow and why they ultimately had to release him. Take a listen.
We knew that was an uphill battle for Tim, and players loved him, locker room loved him, but it was the right thing. Elite warrior, elite competitor, but he's also 34 years old. Tight end position is one of those, and tailback, if you can't contribute on special teams, that's a tough go.
All right, Shannon, now that you've had a day to process, why do you think Urban cut Tebow so quickly?
I mean, is that what you and I talked about yesterday, what Urban was talking about? Like, when you're the 3rd or 4th tight end, or you're the 4th or 5th receiver, or 4th or 5th DB, you got to play special teams. Skip,
how many snaps did he play specials on?
None.
How about none?
None.
16 snaps on offense, 0 special teams.
0 special teams.
Well, how do you...
It's normally the other way around when you're the 4th tight end, but
yes.
we digress to that, Skip. What it tells me when a player normally gets released in the first cut, it tells me, son, you probably need to think of a new line of profession.
Oh,
that means you're not close. Because normally, Skip, the longer they keep you on the roster, the more they want to take a look at you to make sure. I was talking to Steve this morning, Skip, and I remember my rookie.
Steve is?
My guy, Steve Owens, who does my part.
Okay.
Yeah, my research guy. And we were talking about, I said, Steve, if I'm not mistaken, we played 5 preseason games. And I was going through and naming them off, and he was like, how do you know all this? The only thing I was off on, we played the Phoenix Cardinals. We played them on a Friday.
Well, you probably know every stat of your own in every preseason game.
I was like, we played Seattle in Japan. We played San Francisco on a Monday night. We played Indy in Indy. We played Miami in Miami. Skip, I was just going.
Okay, when I was a little kid, the Cowboys played 6 preseason games. Go ahead.
Yeah,
okay.
And so, Skip, I'm saying to myself, and you as a 7th round draft pick, even though I played a little bit of offense, I was on all the special teams. So on 4th down, Skip, if we didn't get the 1st down, guess what? Shannon ran out to be a gunner.
Absolutely.
On punt return, guess who ran on the field?
Okay.
Shannon ran out on the field.
All right.
So I'm saying to myself, and we got 5 preseason games. Okay, I didn't get cut the 1st cut. I didn't get cut the 2nd cut.
Okay.
Now, I was on the board to get cut the 5th and final game. But here's the thing, Skip. Normally, when they're going to release a player, they don't let him play because they don't want you to get hurt and have to be on their dime.
Okay.
So that they put me in there, so I guess they were trying to tell me something. Let me see if he made it.
Okay.
Skip, it was just hard. I thought Urban. No, I thought Tim Tebow. Because Tim Tebow went to Urban and asked him for this opportunity. When did Urban realize Tim Tebow was 34? When did Urban realize Tim Tebow had never tackled and wasn't going to be able to learn to tackle? When did Urban Meyer realize that Tim Tebow had never played the position of tight end? And you want to try to make the NFL as a tight end when you had never played the position and you hadn't played an NFL game in 9 years. So there's enough blame to go around. But Tim Tebow asked for this opportunity. He asked for an opportunity. Had he been someone else, he would have never been afforded. Urban afforded him this opportunity, knowing damn well Tim Tebow was not going to be able to make the team, especially if he couldn't play special teams. What good is the 4th? Skip, he's never going to be active if he can't play special teams. So the 4th tight end, first of all, you're not even keeping 4 tight ends. You're keeping 3. Because, Skip, you know how it is now. When you were covering the game and I was playing the game, everybody kept 3 quarterbacks.
They did.
And 3 quarterbacks were active. Now most teams go on game day with 2 active quarterbacks because the positions is so valuable. You might need that 6 DB. You might need that extra offensive lineman. So for me, Skip, there's enough blame to go around. But what Urban told me is that we're releasing Tim the 1st cut. is that he wasn't close, guys. And he realized it was an uphill. Uphill? It was Mount Everest. Mm-hmm. And you knew that. But he throws out all these things. Well, he is 34. And, you know, tackling was going to be an issue. Mm-hmm. And, you know, blocking. Okay, you knew all that before you gave him this opportunity. So I'm not surprised that this happened, Skip. But him being cut, the first cut, going from 90 to 85, lets you know Tim Tebow wasn't even close.
And remember, he was the only tight end cut.
Right.
So when we talked yesterday about how he was tied for fourth with two other players on the depth chart.
Correct.
So he was clearly the seventh tight end on the depth chart because 6 remain on the team as it's cut down to 85. And so let's be clear about this. He was the 7th tight end of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Go ahead.
And Urban didn't want to list him as the 7th tight end. So, look, there'll be 3 guys tied at 4th.
Okay. You finished?
I'm finished.
Okay. I'm going to start. After I slept on this, after I did some more homework on this, we got hit with this bombshell out of nowhere.
Middle of the show.
Yeah, it was a little early in the show, but we were scrambling the whole show yesterday. And it was a little hard for me to process exactly what was happening. The more I think about this, the stranger it gets, because none of it makes any sense to me. And I want to, up front, make it very clear, I'm a big fan of Urban Meyer, and I believe he's going to do not good. I think he'll do great. I think he will be Jimmy Johnson-esque as a college to pro head coach. You're going to have to give him a little bit of time, just the way we had to give Jimmy a little bit of time, but he will succeed in professional football. I was a fan of Tebow, as you know, going back to 2011. I don't know him personally, but I was a fan of his ability to play make. It was rare to me. I've never seen anything quite like it, and it started the night he beat my Oklahoma Sooners in the national championship game, and then when I saw that halftime speech, maybe we'll show some of it a little bit later when we talk about that run that he had in 2011, but the clutch playmaking, I'd never seen anything like it. It was a force of competitive nature. So, again, my thought going into this was, nobody knows nobody knows Tebow better than Urban Meyer. So clearly, I thought he has a grand plan for this. He has a design whereby he'll try to sell Tebow as a tight end almost as a charade, because they will have a package of Tebow gadget type plays where he'll be a wildcat quarterback. He might throw a jump pass. He might convert an occasional 3rd and 1, because all he did for your Denver Broncos in 2011, and we're going to get into gory detail about this, was convert 3rd down. Necessary to make the roster. Because this was, as you just said, this was the first cut. This wasn't the middle or the last cut. This was the first one. That Tebow was blindsided and a little stung by this, because the source considered this by Urban a little bit cold-blooded, because they thought, hey, if you're going to give him a chance, you got to give him a little deeper run into the preseason before you whack him. And it came out of nowhere, and Tebow tackle. Do I think Tim can tackle? I don't know. I don't really care, because I didn't think that was the point in the first place, right? Okay. And then Urban talked earlier in camp about how in individual drills he could catch the ball just fine, but in team drills, when you're competitive, when you're fighting for the football, he's body catching everything. And so when you're fighting a DB or safety for the football, you have to hand catch it, because you're going to have to take it away from people when it's contested, right? And Urban's saying, well, he's not smooth with that. Well, it's because he's never done it before. Tim Tebow, in his college career and his professional career, has never caught a single pass in his life. Okay, help me out. I mean, some quarterbacks occasionally catch passes,
Right.
you know, they might
when we
have
see him throw, you know, skip, they run the pitches to
Philly
run it back,
special or whatever, you know.
and then Nick Foles catch it.
Okay,
Tom Brady caught one.
Tom Brady caught one, but Tim has never even caught a single one. So what are we doing here? So now I hark back to how Urban said this whole thing unfolded. And remember, we talked about, well, they're now neighbors. Reportedly, they live on the same block, a couple doors down from each other.
Two doors, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how close they really were about all this.